Welcome to The Explainer. So today we're going to tackle a really fascinating ancient text. And look, it's probably not what you think. It's less about stretching your body and way more about mastering your mind. We're talking about Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. Honestly, you can think of it as a user's guide to your own consciousness. So let's just dive right in with a question that I think probably hits home for a lot of us. Have you ever wondered, why does my mind so often feel like a battlefield? You know, just full of inner conflict, all this noise, these constant struggles. It can be exhausting, right? Okay, so right from the get-go, Patanjali just completely flips our modern idea of yoga on its head. I mean, in the second sutra, he defines yoga, and it's not about physical poses. He calls it the restraint of the modifications of the mind stuff. It's a psychological practice, plain and simple. It's about learning how to calm all that constant turbulence we have going on inside. So what in the world are these modifications? Well, Patanjali has a name for them, vrittis. And here's a great way to think about it. Imagine your mind, in its natural state, is a perfectly calm, still lake. The vrittis, well, they're the waves. They're all the thoughts, the emotions, the memories that are constantly rippling across the surface, disturbing that deep inner peace. And here's where it gets really interesting. Patanjali's whole argument is that the world outside isn't the problem. The issue is our own mind. He gives this powerful analogy of a prison. Think about it. For an inmate, those walls are a cage, right? But for a guard, those exact same walls are just a workplace. The physical enclosure is identical. The only thing that's different? The mental attitude. And that idea, it just brilliantly illustrates the core principle of the sutras. See, instead of trying to change the entire world around you, yoga says, nope, focus on self-reformation. It's like this. If you have jaundice, everything looks yellow. Now, you wouldn't try to fix that by running around scrubbing the world clean, would you? Of course not. You fix it by curing your eye. And it's the exact same principle for our minds.
So, if our internal vision is the real problem here, then what's actually causing the distortion? Well, this is the diagnosis part. Patanjali gives us a really clear breakdown. There are 5 fundamental obstacles to peace.
Yep, exactly 5. He even gives them a specific name, the kleshas. And you can think of these as the root afflictions, the very things that cloud our mental vision and cause so much of our suffering. And get this, they don't just pop up randomly. There's a very specific chain of command here. It all starts with one root cause, ignorance or avidya. This is the big one, because from this single affliction, all the others are born. First comes egoism, then attachment, then aversion, and finally that deep-seated clinging to life.
But what does he even mean by ignorance? Well, there's this classic example that explains it perfectly. Imagine you're in a dark room and you see something coiled on the floor. Your mind screams snake. Your heart starts pounding. You feel real, genuine fear. You're reacting to a false reality. But then someone turns on the light and you see it's just a rope. That is ignorance. It's this fundamental misperception. We react to the world as if it's a snake until the light of wisdom finally shows us it was just a rope the whole time.
Okay, so we've got the diagnosis. The natural next question is, what's the prescription? Well, let's get into the solution, because Patanjali offers a really elegant, 2-pronged approach to a cure.
The entire practice really just boils down to 2 core ideas. You can think of them like the 2 wings of a bird. You absolutely need both to fly. On one side, you have practice, or abhyasa. That's the positive, steady effort you put in. And on the other side, you have non-attachment, or vairagya. That's the freedom from all the cravings that are constantly pulling your mind in a million different directions. They have to work in perfect balance. To really get what he means by practice, there's this great story. So 2 yogis go to a sage and ask how many lifetimes they have left. The first yogi is told you have 4 more births, and he just despairs, totally crushed. But then the second yogi is told he has as many lifetimes as there are leaves on that giant tree. And you know what he does? He rejoices. He's thrilled. He goes, oh, is that all? So at least it's a limited number. I can get that done. And boom, in that exact moment, he's liberated. See, practice isn't just about grinding it out. It's all about the joyful, enthusiastic attitude you bring to the journey. And what about the other wing? Non-attachment? Well, that often comes from a moment of profound, earth-shattering realization. Take the story of the robber Valmiki. He was robbing people to support his family, and he kind of assumed they were all in it together, sharing his burden. But then he asks them, hey, will you share in my sins too? And they basically say, no way, that's your problem. It's your job to provide for us. We don't care how. And in that one instant, it hits him like a ton of bricks. He alone is responsible for his actions. And that deep, sudden understanding just completely shatters all his attachments.
So you put in the practice, you cultivate non-attachment. What's the end game here? What's the ultimate outcome? Well, this part is absolutely crucial. The goal is not to escape the world. It's not about retreating to some cave somewhere. In fact, there's this Hindi saying that just captures the essence of it perfectly. Man meram, hat mekam. It means, in the mind, God, in the hand, work. The whole point is to be rooted in this deep sense of inner peace, that connection to something greater, while your hands are still busy, still engaged, still working skillfully and effectively right here in the world.
And when you get to that state, your entire experience of life just transforms. Remember that battlefield we talked about at the very beginning? Well, it's not a battlefield anymore. Instead, it becomes this beautiful playground. The situations you face might be exactly the same, but your relationship to them, it's completely changed. Nothing has power over you anymore.
Which really leaves us with a final, and I think pretty powerful question. What if the whole point of a practice like this isn't to escape the game of life at all? What if it's actually about learning how to become an expert player? To learn the rules, to master your own mind, and to finally figure out how to truly play and enjoy the game. Now that is the user's guide that Patanjali offers us.